Welcome back, friends. So today we will be discussing about the execution policy, and then in the next video will be about Windows PowerShell ISE. And today we will be discussing about what is execution policy and all details about related to the execution policy. So to start with, so what is execution policy? So first thing is that as a security measurement, because maybe the the outside people, if they can connect, or any hackers would say, so if they are able to connect our computer and they can run any scripts actually remotely, and they can actually maybe take our data or maybe crash our system, and lot of things they can do using the remote options. So to prevent that, Windows is by default the execution policy is set for the PowerShell window, or the PowerShell the command lines or whatever. So here the PowerShell is actually it is secured with the execution policy, and you need to change it. Actually depends on your the requirement. So it is very simple that straight away if we tell what is an execution policy is nothing but due to the security the reasons, Windows is the Microsoft is set the policies for executing any scripts on the PowerShell window. And so we will be discussing further on what is scripts and how can we change this policy and what are the policies we have. So to start with, what is a PowerShell PS1 files? So PS1 files is nothing but the PowerShell script files. So in this case, maybe if you would like to refer to the previous the older days, and even currently also we are using the Windows batch files. So batch file is nothing but we have the multiple commands one by one in line, and then we can execute actually without waiting. So one by one it will just go and execute when we run the batch file directly. So similarly, the script file for the PowerShell, which is actually in the .ps1 is the extension code for the PowerShell scripts. So that is actually called the PS1 files. And going to the policy, so the policy is actually on the clients and servers. So client means the Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows 8, whatever the client operating systems, and then the server operating systems are actually set differently. And the first thing is about if you would like to check the client policy, so it is always actually restricted. So when you see for the servers, so by default the execution policy is actually RemoteSigned. So these two are the options in the clients and the servers as a default option for the policies. So we will talk about the execution policy values what we discussed now in detail. And before that, let's try actually creating a PowerShell script, a very small or very simple one. How can we create it? So for that actually we can create using a the graphical method, or maybe from the command menu. So let's do it actually via command line. So it will be very useful in future also, like we'll always use the commands to do it. So instead graphics will try to exclude or try to reduce actually, or try to minimize the usage of graphical. So in this case, now what the command what we need to use is actually new item. So which is new item is actually used for creating any new item or a new file or whatever. So you need to use actually the command new item space, I don't know, maybe for example let us say I don't know how to use it, what is available. So this is what actually it gives by default. So this is actually the path. So let us not use that. So here let's say item type. So item type is nothing but it's the file, and then minus path. So let's say C temp script, let's say the C temp, and name we can give it as script.ps1. So if you would like to confirm this, you can just go to the C temp. You can see there is a file actually called a script with a ps1 is the extension for this. So if you want to see that, you can see here. So this is the .ps1, which is a Windows PowerShell script. That is a file extension. So that is being created, and if you open it, by default it will actually open with the notepad and without any content. So now what we are planning to do is that next step is add a content. So let's keep this actually the side by side here, and you can see here the next command what we use, add content and minus. So what is a file actually? So here we have to say value. We can give in the other way also, like let's do that later. So you can see here we have multiple things here. So let's say first thing is we have to tell what to add or which file we need to add. So C temp and value is that, let's say get date. So as soon as you see here, you can see is 1 KB now, and it was 0 KB, and if you open that, you can see here get date is added here as a first line. And similarly, if you would like, you can add actually something else also, which is very small one, something. Get time is not a value, okay, we don't want that. So let's try with get a service, or yeah, but that will be huge. But let's play with the first one now. And then if you would like to see, now we are seeing actually in the graphical way where it is added here, and so let's try the command called, which is get content and minus path C temp and script. So it will just go and read the content of this particular file and see what exactly inside it, and it will just display here. So this get content is actually very much useful, and we will be using actually more and more in the scripting scenario to take the to read the input files, file content, and a lot of places will be using it. So just make a note of this, and we'll be using it more. And in this case, so it is displaying the get date, so that is the content we have added here. And so now we need to actually execute this particular script, so to see what exactly it will display. So before that, let's say what is the command for see what exactly the policy is set at present. So get execution policy. So if you see here, you can see by default this is actually set as restricted. And if you run the script now in this particular stage, so we need to see what exactly the result. So let's say we can two way you can run the script. So either you can do one thing, you can just tell the path of the the temp and the script. So you can see here the error message as we discussed previously. So we need to read actually the error. So you can see this particular file cannot be loaded because running script is actually disabled on this system. So that is the error. So this is not because of and you can see this is actually unauthorized access. So in this stage you will not be able to run this. So before trying the multiple method, so let's do one thing, changing the policy. How can we change it? So same way how we see actually get execution policies for getting the information, and similarly we have the command for set execution policy, and it will ask actually the execution policy. So we need to tell what exactly you would like to set. So here we can see in the next option what we have mentioned here, multiple options are there. So how we will do it? So we need to select any one of them from this. So let's say I would like to set to remote signed, so it's a single word, and it is actually asking for whether it is a one time or we need to set it, or it is a one time or it is for all, and just read the content and then set accordingly based on your requirement. So I'm just saying A now, that is for setting yes to all. So now execution policy is changed. So you can see once again, so remote signed. So it is actually enabled to run the script for remotely signed scripts. So we'll talk about that in a while. And now what we are planning to do, we are running the script in this way. So you can see here that is running fine, and you can go to the path, and from there you can just run script. So these are the two methods you can just you have here. So you can just go to the path and execute, or you can just directly give the path to the script and you can execute it. So both the way you will be able to run it. So next portion we would like to discuss in detail about what is these policies and how that can be used here. So restricted, you have seen no scripts may be executed. So that means none of the scripts are actually executed in this particular policy. So by default in Windows 10, that is for the client operating system, that is restricted. So none of the script will be executed here. And next one is all signed. So all scripts must be signed by a trusted publisher, including your own. So that means whatever the script if you are creating, and you need to if you give all signed as the option here, then you can see here once again we can set execution policy and all signed and to all. And if this is the difference actually, because we have given remote signed, and it will talk about the next topic, but now it is actually all signed, and this particular script is not signed, and that is the reason it is giving this particular digitally not signed error message. So this is nothing but, in a script we can have the code to include the script, include the digital certificate, so that your script is actually while execution, if it is the policy is set all signed, then you will be able to run it actually with the script actually. So that coding you have to include in the script, and we will be talking about how to include that in future videos. So currently let us not talk about that more, but just to make sure that you understood correctly. So if it is all signed, then you will be able to run the scripts which are already signed. So if it is your script also, you need to sign actually by your own. And the third option is actually for the remote signed, and all scripts from the internet must be signed by a trusted publisher. So for example, if you're downloading a script actually from a trusted publisher like Microsoft, Cisco or maybe any other VMware or any other company. So whichever you are actually signed publisher, so then you will be able to run actually within this particular, if you set this particular execution policy. And for testing any other scripts or anything, so this is just opposite of the restricted, and it will run all the scripts. So that is how actually you need to set. So you can set accordingly. So here I'm just setting unrestricted. So this is set for all the for all the scripts now. And the last portion is actually about bypassing the execution policy. So let's say we are set back to the AllSigned. So in this stage you would like to run a script. So we are actually currently, it is set to AllSigned. So you know, right, it will not actually execute, and we would like to run actually, for example, now let's take it actually from a command prompt, so which will be easily explained how what is the difference here. So let's say a command prompt, so where I just changed to a cd temp. And to run a PowerShell script, what you have to do is that first you have to tell what command or which console it has to use it. So let's say it's a PowerShell.exe, and then so here we need to say execution policy. So here to start with, now we have to tell that which command or which file it has to use it for running the which application has to use it for running this command. So I'm just calling the PowerShell.exe, and then minus execution policy. So you need to type it actually in the command prompt. So execution policy is set to bypass, and the file you have to run is actually c temp script.ps1. So always it is actually it is good practice to do it this way. So you can see the difference here, and even though the policy is actually set as AllSigned, and still you can bypass the policy using this particular method. So this actually will avoid actually blocking any particular single script when you are running. So you can actually bypass this particular policy and run the script, so if it is allowed. So if you have access to the remote machine or whatever, so you can do this way as well. So that is actually called the bypassing execution policy. So hope you understood this topic, and if you have any questions you can comment, so I will try to clarify that. And in the next video we'll be talking about the PowerShell ISE, and so hope you enjoyed and it is useful video for you. And please support and subscribe if not done already, and please keep watching, and thanks for support. Bye bye.